Hey, welcome back. I do a lot of videos that, well, some I talk about things that I think are important, and others I actually give you little demos and show you things that I think are important. Either way, I like to try and stick to topics that are important. In this particular video, we're going to talk about something that I think is important. It sort of has to do with this horse a little bit. And it also ties into a video I did a few years back I'm going to talk about briefly. But I was inspired by a video that I just watched by another fella, and it had nothing to do with horses. He was actually restoring this lovely old truck. And he talked about the importance of patience. And I don't care if you're working on vehicles or building a house, or training horses. Patience is absolutely important. It's an essential tool in your toolbox. Now, with him, he was referring to his toolbox quite literally because he was working on an old truck. And, he said that basically that patience is the most important tool in your toolbox. Well, I often talk about a toolbox too, and a toolbox, it's all of the things that you have at your disposal, your knowledge and all your methods and techniques and all this stuff, all the things that you have that you can use when training a horse. That's all in your toolbox. I talk about that, but it's actually more of a metaphorical toolbox. It's not a real one, but it's still your toolbox. And even that one, the most important tool in it is patience. And I don't care what you're working on, you got to have patience, and particularly with horses. And if you don't have patience, they're going to teach you patience. You got to have patience. You go slow, take your time, don't rush to get to a goal. Whatever it is you're working on, you got to have patience. If it doesn't happen today, that's okay. It'll happen tomorrow. Well, if it doesn't happen tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next month. Doesn't really matter, as long as it eventually happens. And this one here, she was a good lesson on patience too, because each and every day her improvements were only that much, but it added up, and we were patient. And well, it turns out her owner's been riding her lately. I didn't know that, and she has definitely noticed the improvement in her. How much calmer, more relaxed. She was a good girl the whole time she was being ridden. All that stuff. And this ties in closely with a video that I did a few years back, and I talked about the biggest mistake that we make is getting in a hurry to get in the saddle. Well, that's got a lot to do with patience, because we get impatient and we don't want to do all the little stuff that comes ahead of getting in the saddle, and we're in a big hurry to throw that saddle on and go for a ride. You understand. It's not easy when you got this beautiful horse that screams, "Ride me," but there's and I've seen a couple cases recently too, where people get new horses and they're in a big hurry to ride them, and next thing you know, they're got a saddle on, they're riding them around, and they got a whole lot of other problems that haven't been addressed. Well, they weren't being patient. They were in a hurry to ride. They weren't being patient and fixing all their problems first. And, well, they're going to still end up having to fix them. And in the meantime, their rides that they had weren't as enjoyable as they could have been if they had had the patience in the first place. Now, the thing about patience is it's kind of like, the metaphor he used is he had a wrench that was kind of rusty, and that tool was his patience. And it was rusty because it hadn't been used enough. Well, the way I look at it is patience is kind of like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. So the more you use your patience, the more you develop patience. And I can speak from experience because, I'm not the most patient person in the world. I never used to be anyhow. But I learned to be patient because I've kind of had to working with horses, and over the years I've developed a lot of patience working with horses. They've taught me a lot of things, patience being one of them, and I've come to realize just how important patience is when you're working with your horse. So, what's the message here? Patience. Very, very important tool in your toolbox, and I sure hope you get it. put it in there, but take it out often and use it, because every time you use it, it's going to get better. And you're going to need it, I can assure you. Have a good day.